Okay, so part two. This is the shorter section. I'm sorry this has gone on. This is, I just want to make sure that you're across a lot of the information for this subject. So this just gives you a bit of a background on some of the things that I'm kind of assuming that you know, so then we can discuss a little more confidently as we go forward. Okay, so introduction to tourism planning and management. This is the final thing that I need to cover in this first lecture. What is tourism planning and who is responsible for it? They are good questions. I live and work, as I've said, in Cairns, which gets over 3 million visitors a year, yet still people are asking that question. Yet still people are not really, they have a destination tourism plan. They have some people who are responsible for some aspects of it, but nobody takes ownership for all of the tourism planning and management. There's a marketing organisation that everyone looks to as a leader in tourism, but they really are only actually marketing. And this is actually the case in many, many tourism cities across the world, and particularly in Australia. So I guess probably from my perspective, tourism planning is planning at a bigger scale than just a business. So that's business planning, obviously. So a bigger scale than just business, to look at comprehensive planning issues and to look at the experience of the destination from the perspective of the tourist rather than from the perspective of those who live there. So planning for tourist use, planning for tourist experience, thinking, and that means integrating into your usual decision-making processes in the city or in the region or in the state or even in the country, factoring in the requirements of the tourism industry. And I would say that that's really what tourism planning is. Who is responsible for it? Quite often that falls to government, but quite often that also falls to non-government organisations such as destination promotion agencies or management agencies, but there are not a lot of those and they quite often don't have very much money. So yeah, it is actually quite complex what tourism planning is. But there's lots of people who have had a go at trying to describe what the system is, but not many people talk about how entities, organisations and people actually interact with that system and make it happen, which is where there's lots of opportunities to identify issues when you're thinking about that in terms of your assessment as well. Okay, so this is Queensland Tourism Strategy 2006, Destination Management Planning. So this is what they say a destination management plan should have in it. They say that you should analyse the global operating environment, analyse the situation in the destination, the situation analysis, define the vision for the destination and identify key strategic values. So that's thinking about your comparative advantages. So you first thought maybe about the competition and the push and pull factors. And then you start thinking about your comparative advantage, what you have that's special to you. Talk about that in a sec. You identify strategies that will contribute to the achievement of the vision, so what you're going to do. You implement the strategies and then you monitor and evaluate your performance, which then feeds back into starting again to analyse the global operating environment. It is very iterative. The global operating environment and the situation, the destination changes all the time. There's lots of changes happening in destinations. In Cairns, we have huge changes in our in the markets that are coming through at the moment. People are doing things differently. People are not booking online before they come. They're arriving and just saying that they want to stay a night somewhere, and we're like, but did you book? And they say, no, we didn't book. We didn't realise we needed to. And this is an interesting challenge for Cairns, which is having such significant growth in its numbers that it's actually going to be, if we don't have some reinvestment in accommodation soon, we're actually not going to have enough beds for the projected growth by 2020. Other destinations have similar issues to this. Okay, elements of the destination product. I'll move this person over here. Okay, so elements of the destination product. All right, so this is, I find, quite a useful little diagram. This is from Murphy, Pritchard and Smith. So they basically say there's the destination environment, so you've got your natural environment, social factors, all the things that are intrinsic to the destination. Technological factors, economic factors, cultural factors, they're all things that the destination has probably without tourism. And then there's a service infrastructure on top of that, and that's how the services are actually operated. And that's shopping services, recreation and attraction services, food, travel, transportation and accommodation. And it's these things combined that create the cake, as you like kind of think it looks like a cake, that create the actual tourist destination experience. And I find that really valuable to think about breaking down when I'm thinking about what a destination actually is and how it works. Okay, so what are we trying to achieve? In all of this, it's really important. We'll talk around, you know, planning strategies, we'll talk around communities, we talk around products and marketing and all sorts of governments and governance and all sorts of things. But when it comes down to it, what we're really trying to achieve in doing destination planning, and this is something that's really important not to let go of, is that we are trying to capitalise on our comparative advantage to establish a competitive advantage. Now, as a recap, a comparative advantage is the resources available to your destination, so that is what you have. So comparatively, we might have better beaches, better palm trees, better roads, better shopping, okay? They might be comparatively compared to, say, Cairns versus Townsville. We might have all those things that are better. But the competitive advantage is what we do about that, our ability to use the resources effectively over the long term. Now, that is the competitive advantage. It's really important to understand that everything that you do in terms of developing in your destination plan is with the express goal of developing your competitive advantage. So you have to know who your competitors are, and you have to know how you're going to compete with them, and you have to know how you can compete with them, what you have better than them, so you can actually capitalise on it. That is the essence of everything that we'll discuss in this unit. Look, this is a diagram. It's from Crouch and Ritchie. This is a sort of a diagram of comparative advantages versus competitive advantages and how you make the most of these to develop destination competitiveness. I'll let you have a look at that. There's nothing too thrilling in there. I think I've made my point. Okay, now the Australian government, move myself off the CQ logo now. The Australian government has identified some key aspects of destination development in their sustainable tourism document, the Sustainable Tourism Development document. And these are the key things that they have identified. Okay, and remembering, and I'll put it off to the right there, that from these, our aim is to build competitive advantage from comparative advantage. Okay, so consumer and visitor experience, community experience, environment and heritage management impacts, infrastructure, markets and marketing, availability of tourism product, economic cost and benefit, training and building capacity, training and building capacity in your population is what that means. Strategic and resource context and approvals and regulation. I am going to talk about each one of these in context throughout this unit. So this is sort of a fundamental cornerstone of what we'll be discussing. Each one of these will be discussed at length, and they are critical aspects of destination development and may be quite helpful when you're thinking about particularly your assessment 3, and in fact all of your assessment really. Okay, next lecture. I haven't got any readings planned for next lecture. I'll let you know. I'll put them up on the Moodle site. But aside from, no, actually I had chapter 2 written, and I've already asked you to read chapter 2 for this lecture. So at the moment you're looking pretty I'll pop up a couple of sustainable planning ideas and some readings probably from Carmona and Hall around context for the Moodle site. Okay, they're my references as I discussed, so feel free to have a look at those and look some things up if you want to. Hopefully everything's made sense. Please get hold of me if you're feeling a little concerned or confused. Okay, all right, thanks very much.